Hey guys, back again with another video, the Games of June video, and I'm probably uploading this earlier than I did the last video, and that first video got a good response. People wanted to see more of this, and I had fun doing it, so yeah, I'm going to be doing this from now on for every month. And yeah, no introductions here, no introduction sequence, just going to get started with the games. June, though, is an absolutely insane month. I can't say I'm interested in every single game that's coming out, but I can't remember the last time this many games came out in a single month. It's insane. But yeah, we're going to get started with Guilty Gear Xrd. I think that's how it's pronounced. Revelator, I don't know. June 7th for PS3 and PS4. A follow-up kind of sequel to the previous game that came out. It wasn't too long ago that the previous game came out. I love watching this game, like this gameplay. Like, this game is fucking gorgeous, man. It's got some of the best, like, 2D art I've ever seen. And there's actually apparently some, like, 3D sequences in this game. I don't know what they're adding for the sequel. You know me, I'm not crazy about fighting games, but apparently the Guilty Gear Xrd was really good. Like, it was just a really excellent fighting game, so I'm sure this is going to be just as good. Again, not sure what they're adding, and I can't say I'm going to be buying this one, but it's definitely cool that we're getting a follow-up to that game. Since a lot of people seem to really like that game. On June 7th, we have Atelier Sophie Alchemist of the Mysterious Book. There are so many of these games. I wouldn't know where to start. I can't say I'm too interested in them. They have a lot of crafting elements that just, I don't know, I've never been a fan of crafting in RPGs. This game actually was on PS3 in Japan for quite a long time, and just now it's finally coming out in North America on the PS4 and Vita. I know they're supposed to be pretty good games, but I've always looked at them as like similar to like the Hyperdimension Neptunia games, where there's just so many, and they're just not that different from one another. And yeah, it's almost like sports games to me. I look at every time one of these games comes out, I find it very hard to care. Maybe someday I'll pick up one of the early ones for cheap, and who knows, maybe I'll actually like it. But I can't say I'm going to be picking this up. But I'm glad for fans of the series that they do keep pumping these out, so fans of the series are going to remain happy. Don't know if this is considered one of the better ones in the series. I like the art to it, but yeah, definitely not going to be picking it up myself. Also on June 7th, we have Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and I feel like this game has been in development for quite a long time. It was originally a sequel, but then they kind of changed it, and now it's kind of like a remake or a reimagining of the first game. And I'm mixed on this. I don't know if I want to get it or not. I think it is a game I'm going to wait for a price drop on. Now, I really did love the first Mirror's Edge. Well, I shouldn't say I liked it. It had issues. Like, the gun combat was really bad. Like, I wish the game was just, like, purely parkour with some, like, maybe stealth hand-to-hand combat sequences, but again, like, this game looks fantastic. It apparently has more of like an open world kind of thing going on compared to the first one. There was a recent beta that I didn't get to play, but the impressions on that beta were kind of mixed. Like, a lot of people weren't so hot on it. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to just wait and see until release to see if this is a good game, but the first Mirror's Edge was just such a breath of fresh air. There was nothing like it at the time, and there still hasn't been much like it since. And I really liked the way that game flowed, and once you kind of got into the groove of the game and doing the parkour all around, like, the environments, it was really fun. I really did enjoy that game. So I'm definitely looking forward to this, and I hope this turns out well. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a game I buy at full price, but we'll see. And also on June 7th, packed day, that one. Odin Sphere, okay, Leaf Thrasir? Like, what a stupid name, or subtitle. I don't know why they went with that. Like, it's so fucking bizarre. Maybe that's in the game, I don't know. Odin Sphere is a game I actually never played on the PS2, and this is, I guess, a remake. One of the notable things with this remake is the fact that I think there's like a bunch of added content, but the frame rate was apparently pretty rough in the original PS2 one, and it's been spruced up for this one. I think this game runs in 60 frames per second. I really wish I could get this, but there's actually quite a few games that I'm buying in June, and unfortunately, I have to pick and choose. I have to be a bit, I can't just get everything that I want. I would like to play this, but at full price, I think I don't know, it's a little too much, especially in Canada with the game prices being what they are. And I don't have this pre-ordered at a discount, sadly. But it is something I'm looking to pick up later down the line, because this game looks awesome. It just looks really fun. I like, apparently there's a bunch of like characters you choose in the beginning, and apparently it's not as monotonous as the original game, and like the way you get the different endings. Apparently it was just a total chore to get all the endings in that original game. So apparently they fixed that. It just looks like a much better version of that game, and that game was well regarded. A lot of people really liked it. It seems right up my alley. I like these types of like side-scrolling action RPGs. Vanillaware game. I haven't actually played too many of their games, surprisingly, but yeah, it's unfortunately, I know a lot of people are excited for this one and looking forward to it. I would really like to get it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait on it, hopefully later in the year, because I really do want to play this. It looks fantastic. And on June 10th, we have Kirby Planet Robobot, and this game looks really fun. Unfortunately, I still haven't played the previous Kirby game on 3DS, Triple Deluxe. I would like to play that first, but I love like the whole robot angle that they have here, where each robot has its own power. I don't know, it just looks like so much fun to play. Unfortunately, yeah, like with Odin Sphere, it's another game that I just don't see myself picking up, at least not right away. Too many games, but it really does look fun. But I definitely want to try to get Triple Deluxe at like a reduced price and play that first, because apparently that's also a really good game. But yeah, this looks really good.
Taking a page from Kirby himself, the Robobot armor can copy enemy abilities and use powerful modified versions.
Also on June 10th is Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter, and this would ordinarily be a game I leave for the ending, where I list off like the rest of the games that I'm like not interested in at all. But this series has been going on for a while, at least since the previous generation, and it's kind of got a cult following. These games are actually supposed to be pretty good if you're into Sherlock Holmes, and that's why I kind of wanted to feature it here. And looking at the gameplay, it actually looks pretty damn good. I was kind of surprised. I wasn't expecting much from this game when I first saw it on the list of games coming out for June. But if you're looking for like a mystery game, like a mystery thriller where you're solving cases, you could probably do a lot worse than this. It actually probably is not going to be that bad of a game. Now, I can't say I'm going to rush out and buy this, but maybe if it's at like a really cheap price on like a Steam sale at some point, I could actually see myself playing and enjoying this. I gotta say, it actually doesn't look too bad, so if this looks like your thing, you might want to look into this. It seems like it might be somewhat of a sleeper hit.
A few moments later, we are now at the Hurst's apartment on 12 Dorset Street.
On June 14th, for the PC, and I think it's coming out for consoles later, is Dead by Daylight. And this is a game I hadn't heard of, so I decided to check it out, and it actually seems kind of cool. Not the thing not the type of game I would buy at full price, but maybe if it's cheap on a Steam sale kind of game. Now, I think there was a game similar to this on Kickstarter not too long ago. It was like a Friday the 13th type game, and it was very similar to this, where it's like a multiplayer focused game where like 3 people are survivors and another player is a serial killer, and you're basically trying to kill the survivors. So it's like a multiplayer game in that kind of vein. And this is a type of game that we really haven't seen. The most similar kind of game we've seen to it is like something like Left 4 Dead. And I like the concept, and I think this game is beating that game on Kickstarter. I don't know if it was an official Friday the 13th game. It might have been. I can't remember. But this game is beating that one to the punch. Obviously only on PC, not on consoles just yet. But Yeah, I wouldn't say this is going to be an amazing game, especially looking at the developer's track record. They've done a lot of like shovelware type games, a lot of licensed games on like 3DS and things like that. They've made a lot of games, and looking at the list of games they've made, this is one of the few that they've done it that's kind of like a new IP. So I don't know, maybe this could be a big surprise. It looks a little clunky in places. It looks like the budget wasn't crazy high for it, but who knows? It could be a kind of like a fun multiplayer game that you play with your friends. And again, definitely not getting this at full price, but maybe it's worth looking into if you guys find this interesting. But if it's ever cheap on a Steam sale, I'm sure I might check it out. On June 21st, we have Grand Kingdom for the PS4 and Vita, and this game I'm actually really looking forward to. I think this is going to be the sleeper hit of the month. Now it's a follow-up game to Grand Knight History, I think it's called, and that was on the PSP. It only came out in Japan. It was supposed to come out in North America, but it was canceled due to a lack of funds. I think Xseed was supposed to publish it. And that was a Vanillaware game, and the people who made that game, at least a lot of them, kind of left Vanillaware and kind of formed their own studio, and this is their first game. The same director as that game, and it's kind of got a similar art style to like a Vanillaware game. And this looks really unique. I gotta say, a lot of the games NIS America puts out, I'm not that interested in, but this, I don't know, something about this that just really... It's just really unique. I find it's this weird, like, I don't want to call it a strategy RPG, but you kind of like move around on like a board game type field, and then you get to like these Valkyrie profile type battles where each of your moves are on different buttons, and then you have a bunch of different characters that you kind of create your party with, and it's got some strategy RPG elements, but it's also kind of like an action RPG. And there's like a bunch of like different tactics that you can employ. If you actually look at like the beta gameplay for the beta that went on not too long ago, it looks really unique. I haven't seen a game that looks like this, really. Now, I don't know if it's going to be an amazing game, but it looks really good to me, and I think this is going to be a huge surprise. It reminds me of like Dragon Force, Ogre Battle 64, and Valkyrie Profile. Two of those games, well, Dragon Force I wasn't really able to get into. I found the tutorials were just really bad for that game, but Ogre Battle 64 I love, and I don't know, this reminds me of it, even though it's actually quite different in a lot of ways. The art's gorgeous, the soundtrack from what I've heard sounds really good. Yeah, I'm actually probably going to pick this up at full price. Although I think Best Buy is probably going to do like a pre-order, like 30% off pre-orders around E3, so I might be able to get it at a discount. And the Vita version is probably going to be cheaper too. But yeah, really unique looking JRPG. I don't know. Ever since I first saw this, I've always been interested in it. And yeah, the beta, even though I unfortunately didn't get to play it, it looked awesome. This looks like my type of game. I think I'm going to be able to really get into this. So yeah, I don't know. If there's any game in June that I think will be a sleeper hit, it's this one. And it really makes me wish that I had played Grand Knight's History back on the PSP. But yeah, I'm glad something like this is coming out, like something like this really unique looking JRPG like this is coming out. So yeah, I'll definitely plan to have like a review on this definitely for the channel in the future.
セーブデータを引き継ぎパッケージ版へのアップグレードも可能グランキングダム
On June 21st, Mighty Number 9. Yeah, it's supposed to finally come out after a bunch of delays over fucking multiplayer, of all things. I really do think it's going to actually come out on June 21st. I've still got it pre-ordered for like 30% off. I really don't know if I want to cancel it or not before this comes out. Honestly, I was excited at first, but the more I've seen on this game and the more delays there've been, the less excited I've been. Honestly, I don't know if this is going to turn out to be a good game. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. And as such a huge Mega Man fan, it's such a bummer that I don't have more excitement for this game. But yeah, just I don't know, like I don't know, not too much more. Like there's so much that's been said on this game. I don't have much more to add. Am I gonna pick it up? I don't know. I still don't know, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Who knows? Maybe it will get another delay. That would be just fucking pathetic. But yeah, Mighty Number 9. I guess finally, June 21st, we're finally gonna get this game. Yeah. And on June 21st, we also have No Man's Sky. This is the big game of June. This game's got a huge hype machine behind it. This game, honestly, it could go either way. I really, you know, the more I've looked at it, and I've looked up a bunch of gameplay, and I've looked up, like, what you actually do in this game. It's going to take too long to describe here, but it does sound like a fun game, and, you know, it's heavily based on exploration, which, you know, that's one of my favorite aspects of games, so hopefully the exploration aspect to this game is fantastic. I mean, obviously it looks amazing, and, you know, there have been so many promises with this game. I honestly, the way they've talked about this game, and, you know, for how small the team is, and just, like, with the hype machine behind it, I really hope this game does turn out well. I hope this is a good game. I still don't know whether I want to get it or whether I want to get it or not. I'm gonna wait till like the reviews come out and then like we get a better sense of like what this game really is like and whether it's gonna have like a lot of replay value. This might be the kind of game that is fun for like 10 hours and then it just gets dull and then you know you don't want to play it anymore. I don't know. It could be one of those types of games. It's probably still going to end up being like the top-selling game of June. It's funny because looking at all the games of June, a lot of them are very niche, and then there's just this one in the middle of all these niche games. But very curious to see how this is going to turn out. I really want this to be good because yeah, it might end up being one of my favorite games of the year if it does turn out to be everything that developers have promised. But yeah, No Man's Sky. And on June 21st, because I've always wanted a competitive multiplayer shooter from the Resident Evil franchise, Umbrella Corp, I think. Yeah, this game looks terrible. I like this was one of those games when it was announced at when was it announced? Like E3? Was it E3 or Tokyo Game Show? I don't remember, but when it was announced, it was just like like no one fucking cared. Like, does anyone care about this game? Like, honestly, does anyone want this game? I don't know, man. Capcom, like some of the, I don't know. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Like, no one asked for this. Like, I mean, I guess it doesn't look like the worst game ever, but I gotta say, it's not appealing to me whatsoever, and it's just, as far as like competitive shooters go, there's so many better options out there. I mean, just in May we had Overwatch, and even Battleborn I think looked more appealing than this, and I don't know, it just, like, I don't know, like, I'm not the biggest Resident Evil fan, but I gotta say, if I was like a hardcore Resident Evil fan, like, the announcement of this game would have just pissed me off. Like, this is like Metroid Federation Force levels of just, like, unnecessary. But, yeah, this game's, I guess, coming out in June. I thought this game was coming out much later, but, yeah, no interest in this whatsoever.
It's survival of the fittest. Something like that.
On June 24th, we have Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE. And controversy aside, you know, obviously the fact that this isn't really an SMT game or a Fire Emblem game, it's kind of its own thing, and it's super weeaboo, which like normally that turns me off. And I'll admit, like, this game looks really cheesy and goofy, and the whole idol thing, I gotta admit, it's not really my thing. It's not my style. But the game looks fun to play. The gameplay looks excellent, and I think this will hold me over nicely until we get Persona 5. And it's actually one of the games I'm looking forward to the most in June, surprisingly enough. And it's nice. It's just going to be nice to have something to play on the Wii U. And Corn Muffin, Joe, Corn Muffin X, he's not into like the weeaboo stuff like at all. I'm very similar to him in that regard, and he loved this game. He thought it was really good. So yeah, and I think, and based on his impressions video, he described the gameplay and things like that. I think I'm going to enjoy this game. I think it's going to be very enjoyable. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it, but I mean, Atlas, they put out good games. So even though it's not the most appealing game to me, and I don't know if I'm going to like the story or not, but it looks like a fun game to play. And yeah, I've had it pre-ordered for like 30% off since like it was actually called SMT across Fire Emblem. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. It's definitely not going to be for everybody. This is certainly not. It's very niche, but yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to turn out to be a pretty great game actually. And on June 28th, a lot of games on this day. We have God Eater Resurrection for the PS4 and Vita, and this is a remake of God Eater Burst for the PSP. I never played that game. It was basically a Monster Hunter clone, and you can definitely tell from the gameplay. But that game has a following. That game apparently was a quite enjoyable Monster Hunter clone. Now, I'm kind of weird where I've played a lot of Monster Hunter clones, and none of them do it for me the way Monster Hunter does. And I know quite a people that are like the opposite, where they don't like Monster Hunter, but they love all the different clones. I gotta say, though, this game actually looks pretty damn fun. And maybe it's finally the Monster Hunter clone that I enjoy. But, there's just so many games coming out in June. I don't think I can get this at full price, but certainly I'll definitely look into it later. I don't even know if I could play it this year, really, but yeah, if it gets some price drops or something like that, maybe it could be a fun one. Although, like with a lot of Monster Hunter type games, they're definitely way more enjoyable if you have other people to play with, but I'm sure I'm going to know at least a few people that are probably going to pick this up. Because I do know quite a bit of fans of that original game on the PSP. On June 28th, we have Star Ocean 5. Yeah, there hasn't been a Star Ocean game for quite a long time, and I'm kind of a fan of the series. I know a lot of people hate Star Ocean 3 and 4. I still really liked those games, at least from a gameplay standpoint. Now, the impressions out of Japan aren't the greatest, I gotta say. Like, these 7 character battles look awesome, but apparently the game's really scaled back compared to previous entries. Apparently it's like a 20-hour long RPG, and apparently the combat system is not as good as it was in Star Ocean 4. Apparently you can really abuse it really easily, and it's very spammy. Not that the previous Star Ocean games have had combat systems that weren't spammy, but apparently it's even more so. And apparently the game is like super easy. Apparently the story's not that good. I gotta say, I'm a bit cautious with this game, which is unfortunate because, I kind of dig the series. I really do. And it's been so long since we've got another Star Ocean game, but I've got it pre-ordered at a discount. I'm really hoping I enjoy this. Hopefully I'm against the opinions that it's not that good. And even though it is scaled back and it's shorter, you know what? A 20-hour JRPG, that doesn't sound so bad to me. That's kind of refreshing in a lot of ways. But I mean, I don't know. Looking at the gameplay, I mean, this game looks gorgeous. The battles still look pretty fun. So yeah, I'm definitely still getting this game. So yeah, I guess look out for a review at some point. It comes out the same day as another game that, I'm way more excited for. So I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but yeah, I'm still looking forward to it despite the impressions out of Japan. Also on June 28th, we have a game that I hadn't heard of called the Techno Master. And the guys that did this, their previous game was Bound by Flame. I think that was like on PS4. It was like an early PS4, Xbox One game. The negative reviews, I heard a few people that liked it, but it was a very clunky kind of Western RPG. And this still looks kind of clunky, but at least it's like the setting looks more interesting. It's it's very cyberpunk. It reminds me a little of Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, actually, and then Alpha Protocol. And yeah, I included this one in the main show of games because I hadn't heard about it, and maybe it could be good. Maybe they've improved from Bound by Flame, and I don't know, I do kind of like the setting, and it looks okay in some spots. And I thought I'd show it because I don't think a lot of people have heard of this game. I think it's going to get lost in the shuffle big time. Even though the day it's coming out on, the other games are far more niche, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I've heard the writing is really bad in Bound by Flame, so maybe the writing is going to be really bad here. I don't know. The gameplay I'm showing here, obviously, it says pre-alpha gameplay, so a lot of it looks really clunky. But maybe it could turn out to be good. I could go for a good like cyberpunk futuristic RPG, because yeah, it's like a Western RPG. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna keep my eye on it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm expecting this to be kind of mediocre, but I thought I'd include it in the footage of games here, anyways. And the big game of June for me, the game that I'm most excited for, Zero Time Dilemma on the 3DS and Vita. The follow-up to Virtue's Last Reward, which is one of my favorite games of all time. It made my top 10 list. And if you hadn't heard of this series, or you were barely familiar with it, and you look at this gameplay here, you're actually probably going to think it looks like shit. And when I first saw this gameplay here, I was a little disappointed. There's some directions that they've gone in for this game that I gotta say I'm a little bummed out by. The previous games were visual novels. You basically read a lot of text, and with this game, they're kind of messing with cutscenes. Like, it's not really a visual novel anymore. The visual novel sequences that you would have are replaced by these cutscenes here. And this game obviously has an extremely low budget. In fact, it's almost a miracle that we're getting this game at all. And you can tell because the animations here in these cutscenes are abysmal. And the voice acting a lot of the times don't line up with like the mouths of the characters, and everything just kind of feels off and awkward. Like, the characters are in this very tense situation, and they're shocked, and you can tell by the voice acting. But the characters' animations barely change, and it creates like this weird awkwardness. So honestly, with the budget I have, I feel like the direction that they've gone in with the cutscenes was honestly kind of a poor decision, and it's a little immersion breaking, I gotta say. The character faces are very weird as well. I've heard a lot of people diss on the voice acting that they've heard in this trailer, at least the English, and you can have Japanese voice acting. Honestly, I don't think the voice acting is that bad at all. It's fine. It's not amazing, but I really think people are way too picky with voice acting. That's a whole other video I could do, because I think people are way too picky with English voice acting. I think games these days have, like, almost all of them have, like, great voice acting. Now, from this gameplay, like, the puzzle sequences still seem awesome. The escape through room sequences are great, and some of the gameplay twists, I don't really want to spoil them here, but like kind of the branching paths kind of thing they've got going on sound awesome as well. And you know what? The awkward animations and awkward cutscenes, that's not going to be such a big deal if the story turns out great. And that's the main reason I want this game. The stories in the first two games were fucking phenomenal. And if they can tie up all the loose ends and create this satisfying conclusion with this game, I'm going to be happy, despite some of the issues that I'm seeing with it. And yeah, if you haven't played these games and you look at this, you're probably going to think it looks like garbage. I would definitely implore you to play the first two games, and I'm sure a lot of people that haven't heard of these games or have heard very little on them are seeing all these people that are super excited for this, and it's mainly because of the story. So yeah, I'm still very much looking forward to this. Like, I'm super excited. Obviously, a follow-up to one of your favorite games of all time is always going to be an exciting thing. So I really hope this turns out good. If this is disappointing, ooh, it's going to be one of the biggest disappointments I've had in quite some time. Like that's like equal to like Persona 5 being disappointing, which what we've seen of that game, I highly doubt it. But yeah, Zero Time Dilemma, definitely my most looked forward. I can't believe we're getting this game. I'm so happy we're getting this game. Definitely the big game of June for me. And if I definitely recommend checking out Virtue's Last Reward and 999 on the DS. Fantastic games. On June 30th, we have Super Robot Wars Original Generation The Moon Dwellers, a long-running series in Japan. I think it's based on an anime, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong. And not too many of these games have actually made it to North America. The only one I can think of is the one on the DS. And yeah, this is not actually getting an official English release. You're gonna have to get it off like PlayAsia. Like it's like basically an English version is being made for like Indonesia and places like that. It's weird. It's one of those weird releases, but you can get it physically. And you know, fans of the series that really hate the fact that we don't get too many of these games should be happy with this one, especially since this is a PS4 game. From what I know, it's a turn-based RPG series. Apparently they're pretty good. I can't say I'll get it, but it is nice that finally one of these games is coming out in North America. And no, we're not done yet. Still a lot of games here on my list here, and these are the ones that yeah, I'm gonna go over briefly. Don't really care about some of the all of these, but maybe some of you guys do. The first one, Brigador for PC on June 2nd. It looks like it's like an isometric strategy game with like robots. I don't know. It didn't look too interesting to me. Assetto Corsa on June 3rd for PS4 and Xbox One. It's a racing game. Don't care about that. Dangerous Golf, a golf game. Don't care about that. June 3rd, that comes out on PC, PS4, Xbox One. Daydreamer Awakened Edition for the Xbox One comes out on June 3rd. Atlas is actually putting this game out. It's like a side-scrolling platformer, run-and-gun type game. It was on PC for a while, and I guess that's coming to Xbox One. Didn't look that great to me. Hard Reset Redux on June 3rd for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. I played the original Hard Reset on PC. It's like a very old school shooter, like the recent Doom, but nowhere near as good. You could only have like 2 weapons at once, which was really lame. Like the shooting just didn't feel that good. I wasn't a fan of that, but maybe this new version's better. Hearts of Iron 4 comes out on the PC on the 6th. That's like a war, top-down war type game. You get a lot of those kind of games on the PC. Not really for me. Insomniac is doing an Oculus Rift game that comes out on the 6th of June. Edge of Nowhere. Didn't look too much into it, but yeah, I don't have an Oculus Rift, so I don't really care about that too much. But maybe look into that if you have one. Deadlight Director's Cut comes out on the 21st for PC, PS4, Xbox One. That's like an Xbox Live arcade game from what I remember. It came out quite a while ago. It was like a side-scrolling survival game. It didn't get the greatest reviews. Maybe this Director's Cut's better, but I can't say it interests me too much. Mario Sonic at the Rio 26 Olympic Games on the 24th for the Wii U. Yeah, who cares about that? Lego Star Wars Force Awakens, of course, that game has to exist. That comes out on the 28th for like everything. Yeah, not into the Lego games. But if you're into the Lego games, maybe that's good. Prison Architect on the 28th for PS4 and Xbox One. That game's been on PC for a while. It's like a simulation game where you kind of run a prison. Looks cool if you're into simulation games. Not really my type of game. And finally, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Eyes of Heaven on the 28th for PS4. Like a 3D brawler type game. I know, obviously based on the anime. The previous game, I think, was supposed to be pretty good. I don't know if this one's similar to it, but if you're a fan of the anime or the previous game, maybe you want to look into that. But yeah, that's it, guys. A ton of games in June. What games are you getting? Definitely getting quite a few, as I've said in the video, but hope you guys enjoyed. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.